Hey everyone, have you just started playing Starfield and do you have more questions than answers? I have spent over 140 hours playing Starfield figuring out how stuff works. So let me share 10 early game tips, that way you don't have to lose time inventing the wheel twice and you can become the best prepared space traveler. Let's go! Starting off in Starfield, you have to know that you're not tied to the main quest line and you can abandon it as soon as you get aboard your first starship. For example, you can spend all your time exploring as many moons and planets as possible. Every planet has its own different biomes, each capable of containing different flora, fauna and resources to discover. Or you can focus on building ships, trying to come up with the smallest or absolute largest ship you can design, or even become a space pirate, attacking or boarding every ship you come across in space, making yourself public enemy number 1. If you're more of an industrial type, then you can construct outposts, harvesting resources to then use for crafting mods, or just expand and build more outposts, becoming an outpost tycoon. The most important takeaway here is whatever you choose, if it makes you enjoy the game, just do it. As soon as you know if you will be more combat oriented or not, you can choose a background and traits that will be in line with your goals in the game. Still, this does not mean that you're opting out of any certain skills or things that you can do in the game. Backgrounds will simply set you up with 3 skills based on a profile such as Cyberrunner or Diplomat. All skills within backgrounds can still be chosen later in the game as you level up. You are simply unlocking 3 of them at the start of the game, not having to spend 3 skill points. I recommend you choose a background that involves security. In your first combat mission at the Crete outpost, there are several locks that can be picked, instantly fulfilling the challenge for the first skill level. As soon as you will start going into other structures, you will find more locks, getting you access to additional loot. I will be going over all the need to know info and skills in my next video of the Starfield Beginners Guide. My suggestions for backgrounds that focus on combat are Cyberrunner, Cyberneticist and Industrialist. Backgrounds that focus on questing and a more peaceful approach are Diplomat. Again, Industrialist, yes, this is sort of a crossover background, and Sculptor. Okay, so this is a sort of a impromptu kind of part of the video where I just want to address something in terms of the quality of this video. I know I am very unexperienced in making YouTube videos since this is my second one, so I have to figure a lot of stuff out. But one of the things I've noticed in editing my last video and also now in between this video, for some reason that the audio is really bad. I've purchased this microphone which should be fine, but for some reason when I play back certain bits, then I can hear a distinct crackle in the audio and I have no idea where it comes from. Apparently it has nothing to do with this pop filter that I put on. I read it might have to do with the audio line. Now I've tried to remedy this in post editing. I just can't seem to find a certain setting on how to fix it. I don't want to spend like 48 hours trying to figure out how this one setting works, because I also just want to release a new video. So I will try to solve it, of course, because I want better audio on the videos for you guys. Sorry that it's still in this video and probably the next one as well, because I don't know how to fix it that fast. So sorry. Your scanner is not only useful outdoors for finding ore deposits, it's also extremely useful indoors for quickly locating lootable objects. Sometimes rooms can be very dark and even with your flashlight on it can be very difficult to spot items that are worth taking along. Just as with unexplored resources, items that can be taken will have this blue outlining. Now over time you will recognize items by their shape, but especially in the beginning it pays off to check everything out. Hovering your crosshair over an item will display its description, and this is where you can see whether or not it is a crafting component and thus worth taking. Loot every piece of equipment and crafting material you can in the beginning. Taking along too much is simply not an issue here, as everything can be sold later on to a vendor. This will give you a nice starting stock of credits. We will look at how to best spend those credits in a bit. Very important, always pick up all the ammo you can find. Ammo is not craftable in this game, not at this moment anyway, so you want to stockpile this as much as possible. because everyone knows nothing so exhilarating as running out of ammo in the middle of a firefight. Make sure to browse through all the items you loot to see if you picked up a better quality piece of gear or weapon to use. You can do this by opening up your inventory by pressing I, and then at the top it will display new items. Here you will find everything that you have recently picked up after you last viewed your inventory. There is a general downside to taking along everything you come across, because you have a limit of how much weight you can carry before becoming encumbered. Managing your inventory and dealing with encumberment is one of the main challenges of this game. Since you lose the ability to fast travel and sprinting will exhaust you faster, you will want to increase your carrying capacity. You can do this in 3 ways. Increase your skill level in weightlifting, ultimately allowing you to carry an extra 100 kilograms. This is permanent. If you happen to very early stumble across an item that decreases the weight of resources or upgrade your carrying capacity, equip it. Wearing a suit, helmet or pack that allows you to carry more by a certain percentage is always a good thing. This only applies, however, for as long as you are wearing this piece. Keep this in mind, because at some point you will want to upgrade your gear and lose the effect, unless your new piece has the exact same attribute. There is a third way by using consumables, but that will only last a few minutes. Unless you keep your eye on an inventory like a hawk, there is no avoiding becoming encumbered sooner or later. Is it annoying? Yes. Is it unmanageable? No. Here are 3 simple steps to manage it. Before you set off on a mission, clear out your inventory as much as possible by either storing it somewhere else or sell part of it. I'll show you tips on selling in a moment. When you get to your mission site, unless you want to carry along every pencil case, folder and mark you come across, you can be selective in what you take along. Mainly weapons and gear will yield good credits and have more than enough weight to them. This way you don't risk carrying around another 50 kilograms of junk not worth the haul. Once over encumbered, you are losing time every time you are exhausted because you can only sprint short distances. So sprint back to your ship as soon as possible and dump what you have, aside from your default loadout, in your ship's cargo hold. This should remove the encumbrance penalty and you can go for another round of looting. Rinse and repeat until your ship's hold is also full. Once full, go back to your favorite vendor and sell off what you don't need and store what you want to keep. Extra tip: you can extend the cargo hold area of your ship by adding additional cargo modules to it. Simply visit the ship services technician found at the entrance of most towns and stations, select your ship and press X to open the ship builder screen. Here you can buy and install cargo modules. Now you get to the point where you're holding on to 50 kilograms of extra items. Now it's time to convert them into credits. So here's a short overview of how selling works in Starfield. Cities and settlements will have one or more vendors who you can sell your loot to. Each merchant has a maximum amount of credits on hand. How this works is that, for example, a vendor has 5,000 credits. You can sell him 5,000 credits worth of items, and then you will have to wait at least 48 universal time or UT hours for the vendor to have another 5,000 credits available. You can tweak this a little by not only selling but combining it with buying ammo or resources. Basically, if you buy another 4,000 worth of ammo from the vendor, you can sell him another 4,000 worth of items. After you start a conversation with a vendor, you can start selling by pressing Q. Here you can see their credit total amount. When you click on one of your items here, you will instantly sell it to the vendor. Remember that we dumped all that stuff in our ship's cargo hold? Notice that you also have the option to sell from your ship's inventory. Rinse and repeat until you are satisfied with your selling spree. Now there are a few things to keep in mind when selling your goods. The first question you should be asking yourself after you have just completed a mission or explored some random structures and collected loot: am I carrying any contraband? Why? Well, if you plan to go to a vendor in any of the settled systems, they have security forces conducting scans of your cargo hold, and if they detect any contraband, you end up paying a fine and having your newly acquired items confiscated. 2 side notes here: you can also choose to fight your way out, or after being stripped of any items at the security station planet side, you can steal back your items from a security locker. In my opinion, the easiest go-to location is the Den in the Wolf system, just off the right of the Sol system. This houses a trade authority vendor with 11,000 credits on hand, and you can sell him your contraband with ease, since the Den is a space station and no scan will be performed on your ship as you enter the system. Alternatively, you can join up with the Crimson Fleet and sell to the vendors aboard the Crimson Fleet station called the Key in the Crick system. You have to become a faction member or otherwise you will be attacked once you jump into the system. Since this takes a bit of time to set up, I would advise going to the Den starting out in Starfield. Now you might have noticed your ships, your companion and you yourself all have carrying capacities. So how do you hoard all those resources without your ship's landing gear buckling under all that weight? The answer can be found at the Lodge. If you have not made it there yet because you went off-road after taking off with the Frontier and not following the main quest line a little bit further, I highly suggest that you do. Here's why. Once at the Lodge, go right, down the stairs and to the basement. Here you will find some ammo boxes to which you can transfer some of your loot. The good news is these containers have no carrying limit, allowing you to endlessly keep transferring items to them. When you inspect the weapon in your inventory, it will say mods X out of 7 on the right side. If you have mods installed, they will be listed at the bottom. Adding these upgrades will alter the attributes of the weapon, so increasing its accuracy or lowering its mass. Since we are in the basement anyways, here is where you will find several crafting stations, and these will allow you to improve your weapons and gear. This makes the Lodge a good location because it provides you with storage space and all amenities available to upgrade your equipment. Let's take a look at upgrading a weapon. I can add a long barrel to a laser rifle or an extended magazine on a pistol. You do need to have the appropriate type of research completed in order to be able to install it. Once you have, gather up the resources needed, then go ahead and install the mod. This principle works the same for suits, packs and helmets. Tip number 9 is about those resources. Where or how can I find them? You basically have 3 options. You buy them, and in case of ores you can mine them or you can loot them. Option 1. Buying them means going to a vendor, go to the resources section and see which ones they have and then purchase them. The downside is that a vendor might not have the exact resource you are after. So depending on what you're looking for, you might have to hop over to a few vendors to bump into what you need. Option 2. You can find out where to go and mine them by first highlighting the resources you need. In order to do this, go to a crafting station and find the item that you want to craft. Then press R. They will now have a magnifying glass next to their name. After you are done collecting as much of these resources as you like, follow these steps again to untrack them. Now open a star map and select any planet or moon. Once you have scanned it, you can see at the left what resources are present. If an icon contains an hourglass, bingo, that's what you are after. Option 3. Looting is where you will find most non-ore resources such as sealant, magnets and other items. If you happen to have skipped the first part of the video, check out tip 3 on how to locate these items fast inside a structure. Now we're down to the final tip of this video, but just before we dive into it, thank you for watching my second video and I hope this is viewed as an upgrade in more than one way compared to my first one. And of course, I'm looking forward to your feedback, so leave a comment down below and it will help me provide you with better videos over time. I will have new videos coming out soon, so if you enjoy the content so far, then subscribe to the channel to get notified when a new one is released. Tip number 10. Let me show you an easy way to generate extra credits in between all of the activities you decided to undertake. What is it? Scanning gas giants. Each system has one, and while you might go and survey all entries on any regular planet, I bet you might not have thought about the gas giant. It gives you some XP and a slate of survey data. These slates can be sold for cold hard credits with 2 main options on who to sell it to. One is Phil Hill. He's located in a broken spear pub in Cydonia on Mars. The only catch here is that he will only accept data for habitable worlds. And 2 is our own Vladimir Sol aboard the Eye, orbiting Jemison. Now Vladimir will give you a better price compared to Phil Hill. I've tested this, so take a look here. You can see that for the same type of slate, Phil Hill is offering like half as compared to what Vladimir Sol will offer you. Since you can survey regular planets as well on your way to and during a mission, it's easy to combine activities. This way you can pick up some crafting materials along the way from plants you've scanned, and it gives you some easy credits after turning in all of the survey data. Now, if you've enjoyed watching this video, please leave a comment to share your experience in watching. If you haven't decided yet if Starfield is worth playing, then please check out my previous video for some pros and cons on the game. Thank you for watching and hopefully see you next time. Bye.